Welcome, everyone. Rabbi Nachman of Breslov organized each one of his 13 tales around an incident of rupture. A hurricane blowing apart a palace, refugees of war scattering across deserts, losing each other in their flight. Fathers, mothers, friends dying. Heroes left alone and reeling. Heroes left alone and reeling in the world. It's only after finding their way through this reeling and rupture that Nachman's heroes develop the capacity to step into real positions of leadership. In one of Nachman's final tales, after his hero has overcome a wilderness of grief and regrown his ability to hear music in the world again, he stumbles into a kingdom where everything has gone mute. The people, the animals, the reeds, the leaves, the wind have all grown motionless, wooden, silent, and numb. Nachman's hero searches the kingdom, overturns every stone, examines every blade of grass, until he discovers the bud of a single rose unfurling from the dust. He lifts the rose up, he places it at the heart of the kingdom. The people and animals and winds of the kingdom begin to move again. They gather around the rose, they watch it. At which point Nachman tells us, "Ve'az hitchilu kulam l'nagen nigun nifla." And it was at that point that the entire nation resumed their song and returned to their wonder. Your rabbinic education unfolded within the shadow of so much grief and so much rupture. 3 years of pandemic, bookended by the loss of your classmates, Jill Siegel and Leah Anderson. I've watched each one of you confront and process these ruptures with emotional honesty, integrity, intelligence, and grace. Powerfully, I've also watched each one of you support each other to keep the rose unburied, to pass it between you, to balance your grief with friendship and beauty and celebration and song. While Nachman's heroes must learn to pass through their grief alone, which is to say, while Nachman's heroes must learn to become rabbis alone, you have not. You have all taught each other, and you have all taught me. We're not alone in our grief, and we're not alone in our growth. We're not alone as we watch for another rose to unfurl, as we work to keep that rose raised aloft. May you all, my soon-to-be colleagues, continue to support each other, to stay unwooden and unnumb as you tend to your songs of sorrow and joy and celebration, and as you help your communities to do the same. I am so proud of you and am so inspired by you.
So I'm Tovim. Good afternoon. It is such a joy and an honor to be with you today as we prepare to ordain these graduating students and send them into the world with our words of blessing. As some of you know, one of my favorite midrashim is from Vayikra Rabbah, inspired by a verse in Leviticus. You shall not copy the practices of the land of Egypt. In the context of this midrash, copying the practices of the land of Egypt means losing the power of our own distinctive language for blessing, for grieving, for giving thanks, for offering prayer. A number of vignettes are offered, each of which involves a crisis of cultural literacy, spiritual literacy. We find ourselves suddenly in a house of mourning where a blessing is called for and no one knows the right words to say. One person shows up who knows the proper words, and that person is compared to a rose among thorns, Kishoshan ben Achochim. And her speech is seen as an act of chesed, an act of loving kindness that helps stitch together a community in need of comfort. The Midrash concludes with a story about Rabbi Elazar, who is publicly humiliated because he's asked to lead a community in prayer, and he doesn't know how. The classic rabbinic nightmare. Sick with embarrassment, he returns to his teacher, Rabbi Akiva, who without condescension or judgment teaches him. And Rabbi Elazar goes back to the same community, this time having regained the power of speech. Again, a moment of chesed, this time between teacher and student, between rabbi and community, between heaven and earth. The delicate threads of connection made possible through the shared language of prayer. I return to this midrash today because it reminds us that chesed, loving kindness, is at the heart of our work as rabbis. I return to it because it reminds us to think very carefully about how we create learning environments and communities in which all are elevated and none are demeaned. I return to it because it reminds us, as we celebrate your completion of 5 or 6 years of rigorous study and immersion in the language of our sacred texts, that all the knowledge we seek, all the words we speak, are not for our own aggrandizement, but to allow us to come together, to pray, to comfort, to bless, to allow us to be of service to individuals and communities searching for genuine connection with each other and with God. And finally, I return to this midrash today because it reminds me of you, specifically you who we are ordaining today. Each of you embodies this Torah chesed, this Torah of chesed, in the way you've moved through our community, in the way you move through the world. You have wowed us again and again with your menschlichkeit, with your kindness, your caring, your compassion. You have been keshoshanim ben achochim, like roses even amidst the thorniest moments. We will miss you a lot. We will miss you in our classrooms and in our Beit Midrash, in our communal prayer, in our Purim celebrations. But please know that your legacy in our community is a legacy of chesed. And our hearts are full knowing that this is the legacy you'll leave wherever you go. There are so many gifts you bring to your work as rabbis, your intellect and heart, your love of Torah, of teaching and learning, your sense of justice and of friendship, your commitment to hard work, and no less serious commitment to play, your gift of words and of laughter, of tears and of song. And woven through it all is a chut shel chesed, a thread of chesed, gracious, supple, and strong. The Talmud tells us that when Esther walked into the king's palace and risked her life to save her people, in that moment of fear and courage, an angel wrapped a chut shel chesed around her. The Shulchan Aruch tells us that when one studies Torah at night, the Shekhinah is with him, and a chut shel chesed is stretched over him through the day. Other sources say when one studies Torah in this world, a chut shel chesed is stretched over them in the world to come. Wherever you go, may you feel the tender tug of that chut shel chesed, connecting you to each other, connecting you to your beloved classmates, Leah and Jill of blessed memory, connecting you to all those who have come before you and will come after you, connecting you to your teachers, connecting you to your students and others you will serve, connecting you to Torah, and connecting you to the holy, blessed one of being. May you keep wearing and weaving that chut shel chesed, that thread of chesed through all that you do. The world will be less lonely, less thorny, and more whole because of you.
Good afternoon. This past year, I had the really amazing treat to teach a group online of people who graduated from Hebrew College about 60 years ago. And they were still meeting as a group. And one of the best parts of the class was it was on Zoom. Each time a box would pop open, whatever we were talking about would stop and everybody would cheer that somebody had, look at Sandra, yay! One of the participants in the class, wonderful woman named Shani Goldstein, told me her whole life was really a result of time spent at Hebrew College. She became a teacher of Hebrew. She teaches Hebrew at Tulane, where she lives, with her husband, who's a Jewish studies professor. She has a lifelong commitment to Zionism, to Yiddishkeit, to Hebrew, all as a result of her time spent at Hebrew College. When she went to Hebrew College, you came every day to Hebrew College. She said that when she was here at Prosdor, kids would come from all over Boston after school was done, spend hours learning Hebrew, and she said to me, you have to understand, we would spend all day at public school not fitting in. We were kids who wanted to study Judaism, after all. And then we would come to Hebrew College after school, and we would just get along. We fit together. We love being with each other. Here we are, 60 years later, still being with each other. I want to jump forward. I had Shabbos dinner a few months ago with my son, who's a senior at college, and he brought one of his best friends from college was over, and this young person was telling us about his life, and he kept saying he was the only person like himself that he knew. He was a trans convert to Judaism. He grew up in a town that neither knew from trans people really, nor did they really know from Jews, and to be both, well, that was unusual. He spoke with such passion for Judaism and for justice. I was, of course, twittering, thinking, do I wait till after dessert to give him the application to the Hebrew College Rabbinical School? The fourth time when he said he's the only person he knows like him, my son said, oh, you really got to go to where my dad works. Hold on. Yeah. You got to go to where my dad works because you really stick in there. He's my son. He's clever. Is he not stick out, but stick in? You got that? I want to say that 60 years of Hebrew college, from Shani Goldstein coming at high school to this young person, is kind of the same story. This is a place where people who love Judaism can stick in. 60 years where people who may not fit exactly elsewhere find a home and stick in and stick out and stick up. They become transformed here to become teachers and leaders of our people. As the famous psalm says, Even masu bonim haita l'rosh pinah, which I want to translate loosely here, the stone that may not have fit in other places has become the cornerstone. At this time, we are going to begin individual blessings to our graduates, which is really the center of our service this afternoon. Before we start that, I just want to acknowledge a group of alumni from Hebrew College, rabbinical alumni, who graduated 10 years ago. Are there any graduates of our program from 10 years ago here today? We have one, Jerry. Nice to see you. Thank you for coming. Our rabbinical and cantorial alumni from 10 years ago are working actively on raising us money towards a scholarship in honor of that milestone, and I wanted to thank them for their efforts. Now the blessings. Each individual blessing will be given to a graduating student by a faculty member of their choosing. This is our way of saying that we see you, each of you. We're not ordaining a group, we are ordaining individuals who we know deeply, we care about deeply, and we have faith in. As I call each student, they'll be presented with a talit and spend a moment in reflection before receiving their blessing. This year, we will be offering two blessings in the middle of our time. One to Jill Siegel, Zichrona Levracha, and Leah Anderson, Zichrona Levracha, two rabbinical students who tragically passed away while in school. Both left a lasting mark on this institution. You will hear more about them, but to say this moment for all of us is a mix of joy and grief. We will, though, begin with some joy. I'm going to invite Rabbi Jordan Schuster forward to give a blessing to Rabbi Elise Abrams, and Rabbi Shana Rhodes will present her talit.
Elise, I had the privilege of first getting to know you as a student in a Shana Aleph course on classical Jewish thought. That course found many of us, me not least of all, often circling around highly abstract, esoteric ideas. At which point you'd raise your hand and ask, can we make this a little more concrete, please? That brilliant question, which I believe you were forced to ask again and again, helped us consistently to pivot our conversation and focus in on giving our ideas a context, a relevance, and an application. Outside of class that semester, you trusted me enough to let me know how alienated you were feeling by what you thought Hebrew College wanted a rabbi to look like. you confess, everyone here seems to be into this deep traditional style of prayer, these hyper-intellectual patriarchal texts. If this is what spirituality is supposed to look like, I don't know if I have a spirituality. Over the course of the next 5 years, you began to stand more and more firmly in the truth that your spirituality exists and emerges through the concreteness of relationship. Your relationship to the Arizona desert as you hike across it to a waterfall. Your relationship to friends and family as you connect over conversation. Your relationship to tradition as you open it up to discussion with groups of elders. Your relationship to yourself as you uncover again and again the deep sense of connection you feel to something greater when you take your own voice, your own truth, and your own path seriously. A few weeks ago, you taught the faculty a midrash from Masechet Chulin, which imagines the moon as female. In it, the moon challenges God for having created her smaller than the sun. God punishes her for this critique. The moon proceeds to critique God once more for her punishment. She stands up for herself again and again, wages challenge after challenge, until finally God listens. God hears, and God repents. I love this text, you told the faculty, because of how the moon stops being afraid to speak up for herself and advocate for her own sense of what's right and what's true. This is an incredible evolution, Elise, from wondering whether you could find a spirituality in our patriarchal tradition to finding in a text from our patriarchal tradition an image of your own empowerment. In Kiddush HaLevana, we pray the following as the moon waxes from empty to full. Yehi ratzon milifanecha Adonai Elohai v'Elohei avotai v'imotai lemalot pigimat HaLevana v'lo yehiyeh ba shum mi'ut. May it be your desire, God and God of my ancestors, that you fill up the deficit of the moon, that she never experiences diminishment again. Elise, you have the gift of knowing how to make those people whom our tradition has diminished feel safe, worthy, and full. May you continue to empower everyone with whom you work to find their own voice. And may you pour the undiminished richness of both your voice and theirs into the deficits of our tradition. May you continue to work to make our communities and our tradition full as the moon.
We're going to call Eric Feld to come forward. And ask Rabbi Lehman to put on his talit, and Rabbi Shana Rhodes will deliver his bracha.
Rabbi, after a winter of gray skies and bare brown trees, the hillsides of the Tennessee Valley come alive with flashes of pink and white dogwood flowers as far as the eye can see. For 2 weeks, the whole world is aglow with beauty. I get so drunk with joy in this beauty that I want it to last forever. And then suddenly, it stops. The petals fall. and the life of springtime carries on. Those are your words. Every year, we count the Omer, we come to Lag BaOmer, we pause, and then count onward to day 49, and finally, we celebrate Shavuot. Why, you ask, in the midst of a period of mourning, do we have one day of celebration simply to count another 2 weeks before reaching Shavuot? It's a form of atzeret, you wrote, a stopping. We have a day of joy, and then a chance to pause and reflect. What did that joy bring us? At your closing conversation, as you began to describe hitbodedut, unscripted, direct communication with God, 2 traits became evident: hakarat hatov, gratitude, and anivut, humility. How does one find joy? How does one make meaning out of joy, even if short-lived, even when it comes to an end? Gratitude. Hakarat hatov was all around us. You articulated so beautifully what it meant to you to come to Hebrew College and to learn Torah with us, from us. Anivut, humility. Am I enough, you ask? Is my Torah enough? Will I be the rabbi my congregants need? I am not a musician. While guitar can play a beautiful part in spirituality, it is not the essence of what it means to be a rabbi. Speaking from experience. You have the necessary ingredients, including and beyond humility and gratitude. With patience and inner calm, you will sit with your congregants as they mourn, counting their Omer. You will help them find their way to joy and celebrate their personal Lag BaOmer as the flowers come to full bloom. After the petals have fallen, a pause. You will reflect with them on what that joy meant and show them how to temper it so that it does not overpower, so that it enriches their lives in just the right measure. You will care for your congregants in the same way you care for all of us, inquiring as to our welfare, with quiet sincerity that speaks so loudly of thoughtfulness and kindness. How are you, you ask, conveying a real desire to know, to help. And then we come to Shavuot. We are standing at Sinai. Deuteronomy 5:4. Panim b'fanim diber Adonai imachem bahar mitoch ha'esh. Face to face, Hashem spoke to you on the mountain, out of the fire. The Sfat Emet expounds, Perusho, HaKadosh Baruch Hu noten HaTorah, noten gam ken koach b'Yisrael lekabel HaTorah, ki hakol mimenu hu. You have the Torah. God both gives the Torah and also gives strength to Israel to receive the Torah, because everything is from God. God from without, giving, to the God from within, helping us to receive. Hitbodedut from above. May you continue to grow in Torah as you find renewal each flowering spring, each joyous Lag BaOmer, each supernal Shavuot. May you go from strength to strength as you continue to grow in closeness to God. Your congregants are blessed to have you as their rabbi. Mazal tov.
We're going to invite Lisa Feld, who will have a talis presented to her by Rabbi Shani Rosenbaum and a bracha from Rabbi Sharon Cohen-Anisfeld.
Lisa, we met many years ago in think it was about 20, on Rehov Emek Rephaim in Jerusalem. I seated at a cafe with a dear friend, you passing by and astonishing us, even then, with your exuberant, unstinting kindness. Kindness that bespoke a quiet confidence and bequeathed a question that has stayed with me all these years. If you feel like saying or doing something unexpectedly, even extravagantly generous, why hold back? Earlier this spring, you gave a beautiful drash on Parshat Vayakel Pekudei, in which we read about the construction of the Mishkan, the sacred tabernacle that was to accompany the people through the wilderness. You focused in particular on the characters of Bezalel and Oholiav, the two artists charged with leading this building project. There was much that I loved about the drash, but I was captivated the moment you asked, with your characteristic invitation into curiosity, what do we know about Oholiav? A question I had honestly never asked myself. And then I was completely won over when you said, this is the kind of thing that keeps me up at night. I mean, how great is that? Your answer was richly layered, evocative, and full of meaning. But for now, I want to linger with the question. As you noted, we know almost nothing about Oholiav, which of course meant that it was all the more important to you that we pay attention to him. Because for you, paying attention is a literary practice, an ethical imperative, and a form of prayer. This is who you are as a novelist and a poet. It's who you are as a human being, and it is who you will be as a rabbi. One who pays attention, shesama lev. One who occasionally stays up at night, wondering, what have we missed? Who haven't we seen? And what if? I suppose the real reason I loved your question, what do we know about Oholiav, is because it was a doorway into the deep and wide world of empathy and imagination that you inhabit. The expansiveness with which you wonder, what do we know about any of the characters in the stories we tell, whether in literature or in life? What do we know about each other? What do we know about ourselves? In the words of one of your favorite science fiction fantasy writers, N.K. Jemisin, here is why I write what I do. We all have futures. We all have pasts. We all have stories. And we all, every single one of us, no matter who we are and no matter what's been taken from us, or what poison we've internalized, or how hard we've had to work to expel it, we all get to dream. Lisa, you get to dream, and in your dreaming, you awaken possibilities for all of us. In the words of your mom's poem, Let My People Go That We May Serve You, dedicated to Rabbi Sally Priesand and to you, quote, now and going forward, now and for tomorrow, my heart soars, it flies, it bursts. We're just getting started. My bracha for you today flows from the ancient words which, according to Midrash Tanchuma, were offered upon the completion of the building of the Mishkan. Yehi ratzon shetishre shechina b'maaseh yedechem b'maaseh yadayich. May the Shekhinah, the divine presence, dwell within the work of your hands.
We're going to ask Matt Goldberg to come forward for his... No. I messed this up entirely because actually it's Micha, so I just totally messed that up in every way imaginable. Messed that up so badly that maybe it's okay that we can start on Micha, come forward. Nehemiah Poland will give you your bracha, and Rabbi Shani Rosenbaum will give you your talis.
Rabbi Meir Omer, Kol Hosek B'Torah Lishma, Zocheh Lidvarim Harbe. The early rabbinic text known as Braita de Kinyan Torah, acquisition of Torah, tells us in the name of Rabbi Meir, someone engaged in Torah study for Torah's own sake merits many things: friendship, love of God and humankind, humility and reverence, good counsel, skill, discernment and courage, access to Torah's inner secrets. You, Micha, have exemplified these virtues throughout your journey at Hebrew College. You embody the true spirit of our Beit Midrash. Learning Torah in response to a spiritual thirst, an ongoing search for Torah wisdom that nurtures a life of ethical commitment and communal engagement. You are a careful reader of classical texts, from Bible to Talmud to Kabbalah and Hasidism. You have cultivated the ability to see at once the innovation and the continuity in Midrash and Hasidic discourse. You know that proof texts are the generative core of the drasha, the armature that holds everything together. Grammar and syntax matter. Rather than obscuring the big picture, they enhance it, advancing the effort for meaning, spiritual growth, and noble action. Your learning is at once passionate and open, intense and supple, focused and inclusive. Your presence is transparent to the light. Your interactions with the text and your co-learners are filled with grace, untainted by ego. For your capstone, you studied the writings of Rabbi Yisrael Shalom Yosef Friedman of Bush, scion of the Rizhiner Rebbe and the great Maggid of Mezrich. You were inspired by the creativity of his homilies, his uplifting fellow Romanian Jews in the face of hostility and pogrom, his call to Jewish dignity, life affirmation, blessing, and hope. Your booklet of selections from Pe'er Yisrael is a loving tribute to this Hasidic master. Careful transcriptions of the Hebrew text, sparkling translations, beautiful production values that convey honor and respect. You did not overlook the places where his perspectives diverged from your own, and you faced the fissures with honesty and integrity. For all that, your love of the rabbi and the Hasidism he taught remains undiminished. Navigating the in-between spaces with equipoise. You have the rare gift of remaining both clear-eyed and open-hearted. As you enter the rabbinate, your aspiration, as you have expressed it, is to help others to take rituals seriously, not just as symbolic reminders of an imagined past, but as embodied, tangible practices that surround, envelop, and transform. Your leadership will be welcoming, accessible, open, yet aspirational, challenging, and deep. The shallows are not the space that you inhabit. Your lofty goals include growth in Torah wisdom, reaching for the numinous and transcendent, and tikkun olam, the struggle for justice and making the world a better place. The vertices of this classic triad are not oppositional, but complementary. In your life, each one enhances and reinforces the other two. So the blessing. May all these goals be realized. May you fulfill the great exhortation of your prophetic namesake, the prophet Micah, to act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God, the God of us all. Amen.
Now we're going to call Matt Goldberg, Chazan Rabbi Matt Goldberg, and ask Rabbi Shana Rhodes to give his bracha, and Rabbi Alan Lehman to present him with the talis.
Rav Chazan. To be both rabbi and cantor. To weave together two paths. To find the intersection of Talmud, Halacha, Tanakh, music theory, music history, Chazanut. This was your desire. Despite its complexities and difficulties, what is the awesome power in this combination? At what points do these paths converge? Says Rabbi Akiva in Tractate Sanhedrin, Zamer b'chol yom, Zamer b'chol yom. Sing every day, sing every day. What did Rabbi Akiva mean? Given his very active imagination, there's a wide range of possibilities. Some say, even though your learning may be sadur v'shagur, organized and fluent, like a song, nevertheless, sing your learning every day. In that way, you will merit the world to come as a song. Sing in this world, and you will have song in the next world. Others interpret, if you sing while learning Torah every day, the Torah will in turn sing to you. The Torah will go to her creator and ask that her inner secrets be revealed to you. But none of this comes easily. It takes a great deal of hard work, as you know. The Gemara in Sanhedrin goes on. Rav Yitzchak bar Avudimi asks, what does Rabbi Akiva base his statement on? A verse in Mishlei, in Proverbs, Nefesh amel amla lo. It's the very nefesh of the laborer who labors for him. It's your own desire to learn that keeps you going. You've done the work of 2 programs at one time, and you've come through it all b'sever panim yafot, with a pleasant countenance, always a smile on your face, supportive of those around you. If this were not enough, you opted to learn to conduct, to bring the voices of the many together in harmony, finding in yourself and in everyone in your kahal the best they have to offer. That is the prayer leader, the conductor of Rabbi Nachman. In seeking everyone's good points, melodies are made. All these good points are merged in the positive energy of the leader, and prayer is then channeled up to heaven. You bring this positive energy to all that you do. Your recital was incredibly beautiful. Listening to you go from solo to duet to chorus to conducting with grace and warmth, with the gentle ruach throughout, bringing everyone in the room with you, was awe-inspiring. Now that we have reached ordination, I could say to you that all your hard work is complete. With 6 years of training behind you, the task of actually being both Rav and Chazan will be easy. But I'm not sure that that's true. As I say to those who ask me about the pangs of childbirth, the real labor begins after delivery. And so a blessing. May you grow in Torah, in learning, and in song as you continue to blend these walks of life into one path. May your smile and your sense of humor stay strong and support you. May you continue to follow the meaningful road, even if difficult, while also making time for yourself. May you sing in your learning every day as a Rav. May you sing in your learning every day as a Chazan. Mazal Tov.
We call Josh Greenberg forward and Rabbi Daniel Klein to give his bracha, and Rabbi Jane Counteract to put on his talit.
Josh, the talit you wear now rests atop the talit you received at your bar mitzvah. Woven by your beloved grandmother, that talit bears the words you were drawn to as you transitioned to your life of responsibility. Pakod pakadati etchem. I take note of you. These words are part of God's promise of redemption to Moshe and the Israelites that God communicated at the burning bush. They assure us that God's loving gaze is upon us, even in the hardest of times. At the same time, pakad also means appoint or charge. So pakod pakadati etchem can be understood to say that God, transcendent and immanent, beyond and within, sees us and has a role for us. Our work is to live responsively to this divine seeing and charge, living as a trusted shaliach, messenger. So what are you sent to do? In your closing conversation with faculty members, you expressed your vision of being a rabbi through a story of two brothers who the Talmud understands as exemplars of service. When asked about their work in the world, they respond, Inashe badoche anan, we are merrymakers. Mivadchinan atzive, we bring joy to those who are sad. What a stunning notion of the rabbinate you have, to bring merriment and joy to others, lifting them up, lightening their load when the challenge of living is too much. The Talmud hints at the daunting nature of this work in the word for merriment, badocha. When split into its component parts, ba and dacha, it means being within that which is pushed away. Bringing joy to those who are overwhelmed requires being with the things we would like to reject, that we wish were not, and finding God's expansive presence even there. It requires acceptance, patience, perseverance, and an open, loving heart. Josh, you are truly a joy bringer, someone who uplifts the downtrodden through your ability to be attentive to and find vitality in what is. You do this in so many ways, through energetic and joyous participation in community, through excitement for a word or idea that you expand upon with passion, through a genuine greeting and expression of care as you encounter people on the way, through spirited tefillah that you lead us in so often. And you have a particular gift for doing so with children. Kids of all ages are drawn to you. It's extraordinary. It's truly, truly remarkable because you can be with them, understand them, and accept what is real for them, and invite them to Torah and their better selves, with joy, with humor, with wisdom, with love. And I want to say I'm eternally grateful to you for giving this gift to my own children. Rabbi Elimelech of Lezhinsk teaches that a rabbi has the capacity to transform and uplift reality because they are present to love and uplift God and all people wherever they are. Josh, you are a rabbi. As your first talit says, Pakod pakadati etchem, you are seen and sent by the Holy One. The inscription on this new talit of your smicha, of your ordination, includes Be'orcha nirei or. In your light, we see light. May these words live close to your heart, surrounding, enlivening, and uplifting you, so you can continue to lighten and lift all of us. Mazel tov. Thank you.
We have left here 2 empty seats for. Want to be Ryan first? Mine says to Ryan, and then we're going to do you first.
Sure, I'm here now.
Okay. As I was saying, we invite Ryan up and Rabbi Shana Rhodes to give his blessing and Rabbi Gita Karasov to present him with his talit.
Rabbi, it states in your smicha document, Zeh kama shanim shakdu ala Torah. These several years you've been eager and diligent in the study of Torah. From the moment we began learning Baba Metzia 6 years ago, until we just completed your capstone, you have worked hard. In that time, you've gone from a somewhat halting pace to a breathtaking flow of Talmudic narrative. Stories of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, Rabbi Elazar ben Arach poured out of you as you took an interest less in their legal positions, but more in their personal lives. You made their stories part of your Torah. Your smicha document continues, Besod chaverim makshivim, asu aznam ka'afar keset, v'libam chadrei chadarim. Amid a circle of listening companions, you have opened heart and ear. Your approach to the rabbis in the Talmud is reflected in your approach to your classmates, your teachers, and in fact, everyone in your world. You open your heart and ear. An exact translation of these words describes this phenomenon more accurately. As it says in Tractate Chagiga, Aseh aznacha ka'afar keset, uknei lecha lev mevin lishmoa. Make your ears like a funnel and acquire for yourself an understanding heart to hear. Not just open your ear, but make your ear an afar keset, an ear trumpet. In the 1600s, funnel-shaped devices that collected sound waves and led them into the ear came into use as rudimentary hearing aids. Over a millennium prior, the Talmud tells us to make our ear into a funnel so that we might listen to each other with a deep, profound listening with both our ear and our heart of hearts. You have that ear and heart to hear both what is expressed openly and what lies beneath. You listen to both Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel with savlanut and sovlanut, patience and forbearance, no matter what you yourself may be feeling at the time. Though your own heart may be heavy, you put that aside to listen to others. Added to these attributes, you bring your incredible gift of music. But it is not having gifts that matters. It's what one does with them that counts. Uplifting voices of the entire kahal during Shachrit, or singing to one person. As he journeys in the liminal space between life and death. Your voice invites others to join you in song. Your music empowers others. As your time in rabbinical school neared its end, in your song at the close of your closing conversation with the faculty, not only did you give us our own part to sing, you invited us to create original lyrics, making it our song as well as your song, including us, empowering us. This is your Torah, your ear, your heart, your song. You take Talmud and approach it in your own way. You listen deeply to the story of humanity, be it ancient or modern, with Solomon's Lev Shomea, a heart that hears and shows discernment, and so a blessing. May your voice be heard in song for many, many years to come. May you continue to make your ear an afar keset, to hear others, taking care at times to turn that funnel inward, paying attention to what it is your own heart needs. As you go out to lead Israel in prayer and in Torah, chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek. Be strong, and we will strengthen one another. Mazal tov.
Ryan, I don't think we've ever, what are those things called? Bobbleheads? Do you want to show the Ryan bobblehead again? I just had a vision that maybe this can be a trend at future ordinations, and it's a gift. We have left 2 seats empty in Jill and Leah's memory. This time we're going to offer blessings for each of them. We've invited a faculty member to offer blessing in their memory. I want to ask Rabbi Jane Kanarak, to come forward first to offer a blessing in Leah Anderson, Zichrona Livracha.
Leah, in the Talmud exam that you wrote, in your Talmud exam that you wrote in your Moed year of the curriculum, in the year of the curriculum where we examine festivals and we examine mourning, you wrote about festivals, regel, and mourning, avelut. These are your words. Regel is an exercise in understanding the world as it could be, world building. Avelut is an exercise in recognizing the world as it is, world recognizing. What the sugya at the top of this page is really trying to say to us is not just that the public overrides the private, but that world building is a critical exercise, and that world recognizing can sometimes wait or even end in the name of that. While I have not lost my concern for the ability of a community to comfort our mourners, I now recognize why there is an essential element in putting down our mourning to embrace our dancing. We cannot create a world which we cannot envision. The rabbis, I think, are playing the long game here. They want the people to see how good things could be someday if we really try to make the world like a regel. It might take us a few thousand years to get there, but no one will if they can't see that world in their mind's eye. As for me, even with my concerns, I think that is a game I am willing to play. Leah, I have consistently and continue to be struck by your combination of brilliance and humility. Your search for understanding, your care for friends and all of your family, and your insistent quest for a better and more just world. You are a truly open student, willing to take a stance and then reassess that stance if need be. You teach me to take a chance on the long game, joining you in seeing how good the world might be. I imagine, too, that you would have been happy with the cold weather today. Almost a year ago, you emailed me that you had completed learning Tractate Sota of the Babylonian Talmud. Bavli Sota is filled with characters who, like you, embrace world building. Like you, they are brilliant, and like you, they dive into the difficult work of world changing through learning and through relationship. Bavli Sota is filled with midwives, Shifra, Pua, Yocheved, and Miriam, who, defying the Egyptian pharaoh and his genocidal decrees, help mothers birth new babies and so begin the process of redemption. It is filled with outsiders, Bitya, Pharaoh's daughter, and Rachav, the prostitute, who save Israel at risk to their own lives. It is filled with angels who intercede on Israel's behalf and angels who listen to and understand our prayers. And it is filled with the presence of the Holy Blessed One who gives us Torah and, like you, models compassion for all of God's creation. Leah, my blessing for you is that you continue to sustain us in playing the long game, teaching us how to dance our way to a better world. May our ancestors who fill the pages of the Talmud and who knew how to build a good and just world join you and us on that journey. May the Holy Blessed One walk with you and surround you with all of God's glory.
like to ask Rabbi Jordan Schuster to come forward to say words for Jill Siegel, Zikrona Livracha.
Jill, in the first paper you wrote for me, you argued the Tower of Babel is a parable about how the idea of achdut, unity, can go wrong. To have a world that lacks distinction, where everyone thinks the same, speaks the same, orients themselves to the same goals, the same longings, the same theology, robs us of the ability to think something new, something different. It traps us in a fixed and dogmatic notion of truth. You wondered in that paper, what might cause a person or a people to hold so tightly onto their own certainty? What might cause a person or a people to lock their minds and imaginations into only one mode of thinking? To address these questions, you turned in your paper to the figure of Acher, a 2nd century rabbinic sage, then heretic. You plumbed the rabbinic discourse on Acher and concluded the following. This rabbi saw terrible things happen to honorable people. This rabbi watched 2 of his closest friends die. This rabbi watched a child fall mortally from a tree. He saw the tongue of a colleague ripped out and thrown onto a heap. It's only natural for him to have questioned the concept of divine justice and the divine in this world. But as he questioned rabbinic notions of divine justice, you wrote, Acher was settling into another totalizing notion of truth, that neither justice nor God exist. Acher, you wrote, like the people of Babel, came to build an idolatrous monument to his own certainty. In order to safeguard yourself against falling into the same kind of mistake, you began to trace out a theology that placed God in the space between knowing and not knowing. It's only in this agnostic space, you argued, that we can learn from others and grow into an ever-evolving sense of truth. It is only in this agnostic space, you wrote, that we can keep ourselves open to the world's potential after devastation strikes. Roland Barthes wrote, poetry is the practice of subtlety in a barbaric world. Jill, the subtlety of your theology is poetry. The subtlety with which you think makes you a poet. Because of how you've taught me again and again, because of how you modeled to your class again and again, how to hesitate in our claims, how to make space for different ways of thinking, how to reach, how to always reach across difference, and find there, and only there, a glimpse of God. Instead of a tower of unity, you taught us all to build a politics of difference, a theology of difference. If there were a mathematics-style proof of God, you wrote, religion would be meaningless to me. It is the leap of faith that elevates simple activities into expressions of holiness. Jill, you helped me and your entire cohort leap into the faith that holiness exists in our ability to delimit our assumptions of what's true, to stay open to the nuances of each other and the world, to hesitate in our certainty long enough to see the brilliant shine of an unexpected path opening up new ways of seeing. Which is all to say, Jill, you helped us all become poets. May your memory help us stay poets. May the classroom dedicated to your memory help us train poets.
I want to just say I spoke with Leia's parents just before Shabbos, who just thought it was going to be hard for them to be here, but they wanted me to know that they feel themselves very much a part of this community. And David, I want to say to you and your kids, you're part of the threads that make up the fabric of our community as well. And we keep both of their memories for a blessing. We're going to pause for a moment from blessings and do a little more singing. We're going to encourage people, if they wish, to stretch and get up. We have more blessings to go. We thought this would be a good moment to relax a little. But don't leave, yes. Who said that? Don't leave. Yeah, don't leave. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. And then when Sharon comes forward, you'll come forward at the end.
Start to pull people over, like to pull. That's what I think Noah was planning.
Right after Sharon's speech.
I communicated with him.
Yeah, so
he
it's
knows
got to be
that.
like
Right. We're gonna also we're in this in advance. So we figured once she was speaking, we'll go over there and then we'll help start it. Oh my God! Look at that. You look sweet.
If I can invite everybody back. If I can invite everybody to find their seats again. If I can invite everybody to find their seats again. I guess I'm going to have to start calling people personally, which could be a little embarrassing, I think. But if I can ask people to find their seats again so we can continue. It's... No. Say it again. Started signing them papers. If I can ask everybody one last time to find their seats, we are going to begin. Do you think they can? Do you think they can hear me? So they can hear you. They can hear me. I want to ask Rabbi Alex Matthews to come, and Rabbi Gita Karasov to present his tallis. Alex, an article about you ran in the Jewish Journal 2 years ago, exactly 2 years ago. The title was, Newburyport Synagogue Grows Its Rabbi from Within. And the title is a little bit of a joke because you and your wife are farmers. You grew up Orthodox, kind of left Judaism, became a farmer. Your wife still runs a farm. But the plan was for you to stop farming and work at the congregation as the spiritual leader while studying to become a rabbi. So the congregation was growing you like a crop. So following that analogy, that makes today Harvest Day. Mazel tov. I want to say, Alex, you've been all in. Some people who had relatively full-time jobs and live an hour away would have tried to find every excuse not to be present at school. At the beginning of the semester, you were a little unhappy with me in a very kind way because I had been dithering about whether Shana Hay classes should be on 2 days or crammed together on 1 day. And that we said, I decided 1 day, and I was surprised you were unhappy. And said to you, I saved you a huge commute. And you said, no, you wanted 2 days. Dafka, so you would be forced to be here. You were all in. You wanted to be here. That was deeply noted and appreciated. During your closing conversation, you spoke of your journey from SAR, the Orthodox Day School, to effectively leaving Judaism for a little while and then coming back after meeting your partner, which ultimately led you to Hebrew College. And you said, for a while I was doing nothing Jewishly. I mean, I wore tzitzit every day and kept kashrut, but really nothing. I noted that wearing tzitzit every day and did not sound like for some people that would be kind of a thick Jewish observance. You said quite beautifully that served as your anchor even when you felt distant from the rest of your Jewish life. What followed in your closing conversation was a discussion of all or nothingness. How you have tried to shed that binary. You wrote a paper